This is the book of Second Esdras, chapter 15 and verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Yahweh being the true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai is the true name of the only begotten Son. The Racha HaKodash is the Holy Spirit, all spoken in the original language, the Adbariath, the Hebrew, the Holy Tongue. Double honors unto the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the heads and elders of all the camps of Great Millstone GMS who do well, who I've learned this 100% truth from, who are the true leaders of all Israel today. Whether you can receive it or not, peace, blessings, salutations to the Bayath, the water, the tabernacle of David, the house of David, the predestined spirits of election, those that will be saved from the impending wrath of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, starting with the 144,000, 12,000 men of each tribe of Israel, the prophets, all right, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, okay, as well as the innumerable multitude, the rest of the remnant, all right, scattered abroad of men, women, and children that are rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of their ability, including that 1/3 of men, women, and children here in Babylon the Great, all right, outside the office of a prophet. This is your brother Tazapani of the Great Millstone, Washington, D.C. camp. Adawan Ratizah, Lord willing, this spiritual commentary is edifying to the elect. So as you can see in my in the title, I am paraphrasing the verse that I just read in Second Esdras, because this is Valuetainment podcast, and he has a guest on here, some Edomite, and he's basically saying how Nero was a symptom of the already decayed trust in the U.S. governmental policies, because the average Joe, so to speak, knows that the deep state, whatever you want to call them, we know them, as the puppets pretty much of the international banking families, which are Edomites, specifically of the tribe of Amalek, those small hats that run the central banks, okay, that has put everybody in contractual debt slavery, and the puppets that they raised up to push their agenda because they're bought and paid for. The trust in them and knowing that they're bought and paid for is riling up the spirit of all nations here in Babylon the Great, which is going to cause an uprising. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to hear what they have to say and filter through scriptures.
What argument do they have left? Well, if you're becoming a party that wins with wealthy Americans and loses with labor union members, loses with the working class, loses with middle class, clearly the Democrats have lost the plot on this, right? I mean, Republicans this time around won with average Americans.
That's insane.
It's a big difference from where they were.
By a billionaire, by a media guy.
Right.
How did he connect with them where the average guy's like, dude, that guy's going to take care of me much more than this guy that's from Delaware. I feel like he's the one. I feel like he's going to do a better job than Kamala Harris.
So I'm going to have two answers for you.
Please.
And they're different, very different answers.
Okay.
One is that the Democrats really believed that democracy needed to be on the agenda, right? That this was, if it was just an issues election, they weren't going to win. They had to go after Trump because he's like, going to destroy democracy.
Right.
There were very few Americans that actually voted who believed that democracy was the most important issue.
Okay.
But of those that did, they voted more Trump than Harris. And isn't that fascinating? And that is something the Democrats.
How do you handle that? This is like, were you shocked?
No, not at all.
So you saw this coming?
I thought Trump was going to win. Yes, but this was my second argument. But let's start with this one, which is, yes, Trump has done a bunch of things that do not reflect that he is someone that really cares about long-term rule of law in this country. In my view, he is not the poster child for like great American governance standards and values. Historically, I wouldn't put him in that category.
So notice how even the Edomite understands that Donald Trump isn't going to save America. Let's go get that in Jeremiah 51 real quick. Because like he said, like, so we already know that your democratic republic that America is supposed to be, which shows you that this is the Greco-Roman Empire reincarnated through the spirit, that is nothing but hogwash. It's a fallacy. It's an illusion that people buy into, all right, because they was taught in history class that the greatest pinnacle of civilization was Edomites during the Greek / Roman Empire. But when we actually read in the scriptures, starting in the book of First Maccabees, on how the Grecian Empire became with Alexander the Macedonian, son of Philip, all right, and he had his 4 generals, and he died, and all the wickedness and robbery that he did, all right, that evils grew upon earth. We might even get that too. Now, yeah, let's start with that first, and then we'll go to Jeremiah 51. Let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1. Let's see here. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1. And we're going to start at verse 1. It says, "And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece." And this is why you have to go into the Old Testament to fully understand prophecy anyway. Hence, you need to read the Apocrypha, because the book of Daniel is not going to make no sense regarding the dreams that that Nebuchadnezzar had, that Daniel of the tribe of Judah broke down in the spirit regarding the empires, the Assyrio-Babylonian Empire, then the Persian Empire, then the Greek Empire, which it doesn't talk about without the Apocrypha, all right? And then when Yahushua comes on the scene, Rome is in the picture. So that whole understanding of how the Grecian Empire came about, and like Elder Apostle Gabar say, in order to understand the mystery, you have to know the history, right? So verse 2, it says, "And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth." So, and who was blessed with the sword? Esau, going back to Genesis. Verse 3, "And went throughout the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up." So he was proud, all right, thinking that it was because of him that did it, when it was really the Lord putting the spirit on him. Remember, the king, the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord. As a river, he turneth whithersoever he will. So he put the spirit on him on the left-hand side to go do all this plundering of the nations to bring about prophecy. Verse 4, "And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him, slaves. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as was honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was so yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth." It didn't say added. Evils were multiplied in the earth. This is how you know these were Edomites in a rulership position. Okay, so they was rule. Remember, it says that when the people, the wicked rule, the people mourn. Okay, but when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. So it wasn't righteous people in the rulership seat. And the Lord eventually, ultimately did that for prophecy's sake. So then, going back to his point in Jeremiah chapter 51, All right, this is verse 9. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. And that's the point. Okay, so he ultimately knows that Babylon cannot be healed, Donald Trump, because he's not doing it in the sense of playing by the book. All right. But even his lawyers and his administration is giving him the loopholes, just like any businessman is doing loopholes to not pay taxes of a high billionaire status. A politician is going to go through the loopholes to get certain decrees written and bypass this and that and third, hence executive orders, showing you that there is no checks and balances in this pseudo democratic republic of this corporation, the United States of America. Okay, continuing on.
But so many people in this country believe that the reason democracy is broken is not because of Trump. He's a symptom. The reason democracy is broken is because for decades, you have special interests in this country that have captured the political system and the uniparty and the deep state, and call it whatever you want. But the average person sees that the leaders don't care about them. The elites don't care about them. The political leaders, the business leaders, the media leaders, the university leaders, the whole damn lot. And so why would they vote for Trump? Because they believe that just keeping on, voting for the establishment time and time and time again is going to do more wars and send poor kids to Afghanistan and Iraq and God knows where else, and promote free trade that takes, they believe, jobs away from average Americans.
So as you're hearing, right, they have that low level understanding that, you know, this place is corrupt, but yet they continue to worship the image of the beast, meaning they continue to cooperate with this Roman style system that we now know here in America. All right. So imagine that, you know it's corrupt, but yet this is what you call cognitive dissonance. Your mind is fighting within itself, even though it knows the truth, but yet it still believes falsities. You see? And this is why in Revelation chapter 13, right? Let's go get it. Revelation 13. What is that in verse 15? No, verse 11. Yeah, Revelation 13 and 11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. That beast is America. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay? So the two horns, this constantly has been brought out. The two power structures, the two lights, the two so-called systems of wisdom on how to control a country, right? Because when you go into that word horn, one of the definitions is light, all right? And it's claiming to be for the people, like a lamb, very nice and cuddly, right? But it speaks as a dragon. It's going to give you draconian measures. That's what dragon is translated from in the Greek, drakon, going back to very harsh, like system. So eventually, Trump is going to do something that is going to prove. Well, just like the apostle said a long time ago, this devil's going to show his horns. This devil being Esau, Edom, the Edomites, the so-called white people, and starting with him. And then they're going to be like, yo, we really believe that this is the last straw. If he can't do it, nobody can do it. And then they're going to rise up. And then it's going to be, you know, a so-called it's going to be civil war, basically, when you get into it. All right?
Support, collective security and sending lots of money to other countries. And they're like, well, that may be good in principle, but if you're not going to help me, why should I support that? If it's just going to help the top 1%, why should I support that? Like, I think globalization is good, but globalization is only good if your leaders also take care of you. So I think the fact is you have lots and lots of Americans that feel like they needed someone that was prepared to break the system, to challenge the establishment. And that has happened in lots of countries, not just in the United States, but Trump took advantage of that. And
so this guy's an Amalekite. Okay, his name is Pat. You can't really see it, but the book that they pushing, his name is Patrick Bet David. All right, so he's an Amalekite.
And not just the first time, but the second time,
Oh nah, he's Ian Bremmer. Okay, they promoting some other Salakia.
when they knew exactly who he was, when it wasn't an experiment, when he's already gone through the impeachments and was almost assassinated and got convicted and everything else. And people said, no, no, no. Exactly. He's fighting against those guys. I want this guy. Now, there's a second reason that Trump won, and this one is not an American reason, but it's really important. I know you've seen how many elections we've had all around the world over the last 12 months. We have more coming in the next few months.
Right.
Overwhelmingly, incumbents lost. And that is mostly a hangover from the pandemic. That is, of all the things you and I have experienced as Americans, the pandemic has been the most disruptive in our lives, right? Every American felt that, don't care your walk of life. The economy was completely disrupted. Supply chains were completely shut down. A massive amount of money, trillions and trillions of dollars were spent. And also, people didn't move. They didn't go from state to state. They didn't go from country to country. You finish the pandemic, inflation is at historically high levels. Migration is at historically high levels. Any leader that is holding the bag around the world is going to lose in that environment. And here's what's interesting, is that if you were an alien looking down at all the elections over the last year, the US election was one of the closest. I mean, you would be forgiven for asking, why did Harris do so well? And the answer is not that she was a good candidate. The answer is that the US economy was doing comparatively better and inflation was comparatively lower than what they had in Europe, for example, or in Canada, for example. And that's why that election was close. That's why, despite everything we've been talking about, Trump didn't break 50%.
Yeah, I mean, she lost 7 states.
Oh, I know.
7 for swing states. But and
I'm just comparing it to other elections around the world.
But then this is what it makes me think about. Rob, you know what I want to know? And maybe you already know the answer to this question. Of the incumbents that lost, you said majority of them lost.
Almost all of them, yeah.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
What percentage of them were liberals and more democratic, socialist, progressive policies that were aligned with what America and Biden did? What percentage of them?
Well, and this is for the 2022 midterms.
Yeah, no, not
No,
midterms.
no.
We're talking
Around the
2024,
world.
because in the last 12 months, we're
2024.
known for the biggest election,
Global.
India,
Yeah.
globally. I want to know what.
So they talking nonsense at that point, Salakia. But there was another video I wanted to get in. I'm gonna let them speak just a little bit. Let's see here.
Let's go to World Economic Forum and Davos. I was invited there this year. Okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't go. We had stuff going on.
Yeah.
And if I were to go, I would have to have the conversation to see what it is. I'm not going to, but
yeah.
Anyways, they extended an invitation. Nice of them. Fellow, had a call with my EA and my couple guys. It was good to go.
Yeah.
Klaus Schwab, I asked you, is he a good guy? I didn't say that. You said, I didn't say that, right? Is he a good guy or not? World Economic Forum, okay? Good organization, bad organization, what's the motive? You saw some of the stuff on the website. They put some stuff that's kind of suspect. You want us to do what? You're going to own nothing and be happy. Weird things that they talked about. Some of the messages that comes out.
Now here's an issue that I know a lot about.
Perfect, and I want to hear it. Why do you think a lot of people who maybe sided with Trump don't trust the World Economic Forum?
Because it's a conference every year in Switzerland, not in the United States, with a lot of very wealthy and powerful people that are getting together. A lot of them are flying in on their private planes. And it's very easy to imagine that when you do that, they must be controlling the world. And, all you need is to get a quick video and take something out that, sort of says the Great Reset, or says, we want you to eat bugs, or whatever it is that's crazy and stupid. And that suddenly becomes the meme for what they're actually discussing. I've gone for 15 years. They have 600 employees. I think they make $400 million a year. I can assure you that no running of the world is being done by the world.
All right, so yeah, he's controlled opposition, as you can see. So basically, in the last video, he was giving the insight of what the people think and why that they had the illusion as if they were to elect Nero, Donald J. Trump, when we all know presidents are selected, not elected. So he's like playing devil's advocate, and he's a control opposition, and he still might be Amalek. Look, his spirit looking at him, everything. Now, and then he's also wanting to play the stupidity of the people, because I bet you if you go to the comments, they're going to be roasting him. All right, because people that are watching and listening to these podcasts and things of that nature, they're not dumb. All right, let's go to the book of Daniel. That reminds me of a scripture. I think it's Daniel 12. This is Daniel 12, or is it 11? Let's see here. This is Daniel 12 and 4. It says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Now we know through context, the book is the Bible. We at the time of the end, and people was trying to get that understanding of this whole life experience. All right, and then because of this search, your new age spiritualists would call it the age of Aquarius, where people, and it's in conjunction with your third industrial revolution, the computer, the internet, so on and so forth. So the knowledge on a certain of level, which is an understanding of many different topics, because the information is able to be sent very fast. They and really with the spiritual help of the prophets by revealing the wicked. And also on the other end in Psalms it says that their own tongue shall fall upon themselves, which is of the Lord anyway. So putting that in a spiritual jambalaya, so to speak. All right, the knowledge has increased. So you saying something like, "Oh yeah, they're not running the world." Well, we know those people not running the world, but they know that they're puppets to push the agenda of the ones that do run the world. And we have pinpointed them down biblically, all right, which are the Edomites, all right, which, the names that we have right now that you could, attain it to based on the information, the knowledge that has been increased. You could use like those 13 bloodline families that are related to each other, giving you like a good three: the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Warburgs, the Schiffs, so on and so forth, man. All right. But we know biblically who they are based on their spirit, because a tree, a good tree, is not going to bear bad fruit. All right. And a bad fruit can't bear good fruit, roughly paraphrasing. So, the scriptures say that how have the hidden things of Esau been searched out? Okay. So the WEF and the World Economic Forum is one of those things that they tried to hide, because the World Economic Forum has been here for a while. Now all of a sudden it's blasted because people are actually looking for these type of things of who's running things behind closed doors. So now that the secretiveness, all right, of the inner workings of everything is being exposed. Hence why they gotta hurry up. This is why it says in Revelation 12 and 12 that he knoweth that he hath but a short time. A short time to what? To rule and to get to his agenda of feeling like fully like a god by pushing the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip. Okay? So I'm gonna leave it at that, man. The Lord willing, was edifying to the elect. I watched the first video first. I didn't watch this one, but they be hit or miss, this value team, and I don't really be on it. But when he said the fact that they're not gonna the deep state, they understand that the deep state don't care about them. That is the beginning thought of the sedition starting for them to go against the people, which they want through auto abkeo. They want the people to rebel so that they can come in with the troops, because they ain't build these concentration camps for nothing. All right, they don't have the arsenal of all these weapons for nothing, and it's going to be the so-called U.S. citizens getting popped by their own police, National Guard, UN/FEMA, or the new term for FEMA now. I think it's Sheba or HSEMA, Shema, something like that. So we'll see how things play out. All right. But you're going to start to see more and more people, with that lack of trust of their kings and princes, which is your modern day politicians, okay, and things of that nature. Oh, this is what I wanted to play. This was 5 days ago. I looked it up.
Complex that's under construction. It caused significant damage to neighboring buildings, including the IRS building and the Da Vinci Academy. Police would not confirm whether the suspect attended that school. The complex that's under construction. It caused significant damage to neighboring buildings.
So basically, it's saying a 16-year-old, there was an apartment fire. He did arson to an apartment, but I guess it was next to or located next to an IRS building. But the apartment complex was under construction. This happened 5 days ago. All right. So, for instance, how come you had people killing CEOs of health insurance companies? Why are you having IRS buildings being burnt down? All right. Protests for ICE, the immigration services, and all of that, for deportation, because the people is not wanting or trusting how America is acting with that system. All right, the taxation, the not helping, the vintage failing with your insurance. All right, the draconian measures of people that were living in this land, all right, is now being called not from this land, and through violence to remove them from such, even if they, didn't create a violent crime. So, hey, this thing's about to get real. It's about to get real, all right? So, Lord willing, again, like I said, that was edifying to the elect. On to the next one. Shalom.